You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the July 17th meeting for the Michigan City Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
It's 3:19. Call this meeting to order. We all can stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Gibson, can you take a roll, please?
Chairman Benson,
Present.
Vice Chair Reyna,
Present.
Commissioner Bain,
Present.
Commissioner Connolly, Commissioner Greer, Commissioner Laws. Yes. Please let the record show that Commissioner Connolly and Commissioner Laws are not present.
Okay. Any questions on the minutes of the April 17th regular board meeting? Hearing no questions, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Ms. Dixon on the roll?
Chairman Benson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Reyna,
Aye.
Commissioner Bain,
Aye.
Commissioner Greer.
Aye.
Okay, Chairman's opening remarks. The only thing I have to say is the last couple meetings we've had non-quorums, and just to be respectful for others, their time and their planning the business day. If you know you cannot make it, please call in to the Housing Authority and let Mrs. Dixon know. That way, if we know we don't have a quorum, we can let the other commissioners know not to make the trip down, sit and wait for a no quorum. So that would be greatly appreciated. If it's an emergency, I understand there's nothing you can do about it, but if you know you can't make a meeting, please make a phone call, let everyone know. Okay, due to people maybe leaving early or trying to get out of here faster, could we move the old business up before communications?
As president, you can just do it.
Okay.
Yes.
Ms. Dixon, do you have some resolutions we need to talk about or approve?
Absolutely. So first of all, the third resolution, that's an error. So we're just going to, we're not going to vote on that one. The other two are, just a little recap. In March, we did a contract to rehab our units. In April, we were to add units to the public housing contract and to the business activity contract. I did not have at the time the amount of the cost of the for the business activity units to be added to that contract, and so then I brought it. We were going to have it in a May meeting. We did not have a meeting in May or in June, and so I was advised by Attorney Rags that we could move forward and just have it ratified due to the sensitive nature and time of getting those units rehabbed. So the first change order, the first is to ratify the business activity vacancy reduction change, and that was to add units to that contract. Really, in essence, to change the scope of the work on the contract. And so that is your first resolution.
That's 2025-6.
Correct.
And if someone's going to make a motion on that, just to be clear, it would be to approve and ratify.
Anyone have questions?
I have one question, and I can't really recall from the very beginning when we started this rehab program that HUD approved. I know I asked a question about it during that time as far as procurement and bids and all of that. I just want to revisit that since it seems like each meeting we tend to have things that we have to do resolutions on. for, whatever reasons. So this, resolution entails that Unique and Partners Consult LLC was awarded the contract, but it was awarded it based on,
It was a sole source,
okay,
contract, and it was approved from HUD.
okay.
In order to do, and the reason was because the amount of time that the units had been vacant, and the urgency of using the capital funds in order to be able to rehab.
Okay, I just want to make that known for the public because we know, I mean, I've been on the board for some years now. We know even prior to me, there's been years and years that a lot of these units have been vacant. And even people in the community have inquired, you know, what's going on with Housing Authority? They have these buildings, they have these properties, and nothing's going on with them. They've just been boarded up. And typically there's the procurement process where bids are going out. And we go through that bid process through you and then bring it to the board. But in this case, it's a different circumstance. So I just wanted to make that clear for the public.
Understood.
So,
Understood. And then I just wanted to just clarify, so this, again, we had the contract in March. After the contract was signed, there were units that we had that we did not know that were vacant. So we wanted to add those to the contract. Also, there was a change in status in some of the units. For business activity, we have units that were considered public housing that are actually business activity. So in the April meeting, it was just kind of moving the units to make sure they were in the right contract, and then adding units that we had not accounted for that were vacant. And so then the actual first change order from Unique Partners then came in May, and that was to that's the change order that we have. So this one I have one for you right now is adding the 67,352 to putting those units, those additional units into the business activity contract. So that's not necessarily, and please correct me, it should have probably been listed as a change of scope as opposed to a change order. So those are just adding those units. Those are units that were not accounted for, and we're adding them into that business activity contract.
okay.
Let me see, there's 5, so they're on the resolution 305 Brinkman, 4532, yeah, they're listed here.
And Unique and Partners Consult, excuse me, LLC, is that a local construction company?
No, I think we discussed that in I think it was the April meeting. It is a company out of Indianapolis.
Okay.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion to approve and ratify 2025-06?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Dixon, on the roll.
Chairman Vincent.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rayner. Commissioner Biggie. Commissioner Greer. I tell you, the hardest part of this job is me getting this roll right. The next resolution that we have, now this one is an actual change order. So what happened when we got the scope of work for the contract, as you know, as Commissioner Biddy mentioned, that these units have been vacant for some time. There was a lot of these units were filled to capacity with items. And so what happened was when the scope of work was done, so they were full of furniture, there were things you couldn't see because they were full. And so once they went in and they began removing items, the cost of the disposal was more. There were items that they did not see, there were things that needed to be updated that we didn't see when the original scope of work was done. And so this is a accumulation of those changes for Boulevard Gardens. So let me give you a little estimate of Sean is bringing that paper that she used. I'm sorry.
This one? What she removed?
Right. I removed paper. But there were refrigerators that needed to be, we originally thought that some of the refrigerators could have been salvaged. They had to purchase refrigerators. And so there's just a lot in that they didn't account for when the scope of work was done. Thank you so much. So there were outlets and cover plates that were discovered and replaced. Several outlets were broken, burnt, contaminated with paint. Outlets were painted over, violating codes and required replacement. The rewired bathroom switches, replaced switches for ceiling fans, repaired several unknown issues, door frames, there was drywall. There were a lot of windows that needed either repairing or replaced. Appliances, again, that they were anticipating being able to salvage that weren't. Removal of just debris. I think the size of the dumpster, doubled from what was originally requested because there was so much debris to be removed from the units. There were several units that maybe required the entire ceilings to be removed and replaced, entire doors in units replaced, floors, and so that is what accumulated the $108,000. There's a fire unit in Boulevard Gardens that also had quite a bit of damage. There's just a plethora of things that added to that $108,000. So we went over it with the contractor, and again, that work has already been done now, and we actually moved over. Boulevard Gardens work is done, and we're over at Lakeland now. I want to say that Lakeland is almost near completion, and then they're moving to the scatter sites and business activity last.
So do you know how many units out here?
I think it's 17.
And they're all complete?
They're all incomplete.
Okay, so we can go and look at them because they're all empty.
We're ready to releasing. We're pulling people from the waiting list. So just going through the waiting list. The waiting list is an old waiting list, so therefore we're not getting a lot of responses. We're having a little difficulty with the 1-bedroom units, but we're just going through the waiting list to get those leased.
So with the rehab, I guess when or if whoever wants to go and visit some of the units to see what they look like now, with the rehab, is the work just done, or does it really look like it's been like demolished and rehab to? Oh
no, they're not gut rehabs. They're not gut rehabs. They're rehabbing it. So if there was something, if the floor was not damaged, the floor wasn't replaced. Okay. So no, they're not breaking it down to the drywall. No, the drywall was replaced if it required it to be replaced.
Okay. Thank you.
I wish.
Any other questions on 2025-7? Not, can I get a motion to approve and ratify Resolution 2025-7?
So
Second.
Ms. Dixon on the roll.
Chairman Vincent.
Aye.
Vice Chair Reyna. Commissioner Benning.
Aye.
Commissioner Greer.
Okay, we'll move back on the agenda up to public comments. Is there anyone here for public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to communication. Any communications? No communications? Moving ahead to reports.
Can I make a comment about communications? Because I know typically communications is from the ED and, well, not the attorney's report because you have your own separate, but typically it's from you.
I thought it was from the attorney.
Neither.
Yeah.
I don't think it's either. I don't think that's what's intended for either.
Right.
There are times where communication is received by the agency where there may be, whether it's a communication from HUD about something generally something from the city to the housing authority, and that's when they're kind of read aloud. I don't know if you ever watched a city council meeting. You'll hear the clerk say there are communications received from so-and-so,
Okay.
and they'll announce what they are. That's what that agenda item is for. You don't typically see them on Housing Authority
I was gonna
agendas.
say, I hadn't
Yeah.
seen it
You
before. I
don't
got here
typically
either.
do.
so
No, I think that's more of a
apologies.
Michigan City thing because the city council does it.
Okay, understood.
That's my observation.
I just wanted to, and when I think of communication too, I think of anything from the outside, from the community.
That is
The
what it's
community
intended to
coming
be.
in.
Yes. Yep.
So I just want to say that I do, more often than not, receive different emails, and the ED is aware of that, but I always forward those to you. A lot of times it's tenants or an organization responding or inquiring regarding a tenant. So just for the record, I do receive a lot of those, and the ED has been forwarded those, and she deals with those directly. So just for clarification of communication. I don't bring them up at the meetings, but I just go through without messing with the day-to-day reporting.
Reports?
Ms. Miranda, I'll enjoy the voucher.
This is the June 2025 monthly activities within the Housing Choice Voucher Program. So right now, we're at 58% utilization. We have 214 regular vouchers and 3 home ownership vouchers. We received 170,418 for our HAP for June, and we spent 155,284. Our wait list, we are going through it and getting down to about the last 100 or so. We have about 124. 46 were selected and 14 were withdrawn, 2 moved down to final eligibility. Out of those applicants on the wait list, we had 1 new admission last month who came off the wait list, and we have 1 who is currently searching right now. Overall, the program activity vouchers issued for just moves from one unit to another within the program were 4. We have 4 searching. I had 1 new lease up and 3 transfers. I have the inspection report is going down. We have now 43. And we had 1 end of participation and at 96% PIC reporting rate. I think I covered everything. Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Property management, Ms. Desiree Winter-Ballas is our property manager.
This report details the June 2025 monthly activities for MCHA's property management. Waiting list for public housing, we have 2,061 applicants. 80 were selected, 21 withdrawn, 8 for final eligibility, 1 new move-in. Home ownership, we still have 159 applicants. Business activity, we have 315 applicants. For developments, at Lakeland Estates, we have 84%. We have 8 vacant units, 1 pending for eviction. Boulevard Gardens, we are at a 78%. We have 21 vacant units, 5 are ready to lease with 1 move-in and 1 move-out. Harborside Homes, we are at 80%. We have 3 vacant units, 1 move-out. Harborside Duplexes, we are at 67%. We have 2 vacant units. Scattered sites, we are at 75% with 3 vacant units. Business activities, we are at 54% with 13 vacant units. Work orders received 88, 59 closed, and 422 total outstanding.
So I have a question. So since Boulevard Gardens has 17?
That was actually the question I was just gonna make.
Okay.
So in addition to the 5 here, the units that were turned over by the contractor, they're not showing up here. These 5 that she has, are the ones that the maintenance turned over. So we just need to add the rehab number on there to correct it. So that would be those, again, 16 or 17, that they completed. So these 5 are the 5 that the maintenance have completed. So maintenance has still been working and turning over units. So we apologize for that, but
That was my question.
I saw it too. Where are my notes? We have our finance report with finance manager Tammy Cook.
All right, the finance report, as you very well know, I report a couple months behind. And so the report is for April of 2025. The housing choice voucher, the housing assistant payment, PAP funding received for April 2025, $168,581. The housing assistant payments for April 2025 is $159,732. Administrative fees that were earned for April 2025 is $15,403. The voucher management system was submitted timely and on schedule. For business activities, we had a negative net income for April of $2,022. And just to make a note on business activity, where I think the copy you have says March on it versus April, and I just wanted to point that out.
It says April at the top.
But add to the business activity.
Yeah, business activity.
Down here. You see where it says
Okay.
March, it should be April. And for public housing, operating expenses outpaced operating income. We are continuing to reduce the aging tenant accounts receivables balances. We are continuing to send statements out to tenants every month, and not only paper statements, but also emailing them statements now. We've done a few tenant repayment agreements, and the capital funds projects is still in motion. Any questions?
We didn't realize we could email statements, and we had a tenant meeting, and they said, why don't you email statements to us? And so we looked into it, and so now with anyone who has an email on file, we can go ahead and send that. So that was a little progress for us.
Can I go back to the public housing really quickly? We have the number that are ready to move in. What's the turnaround? What are we looking at as far as once you go through the list and you find someone that's eligible, ready to go? What's the turnaround once you have your contact with them and you're eligible to move in? What's the time frame?
Usually it's probably once we have a person that comes. So part of the problem we're having with the waiting list is just getting people to come in. The waiting lists are so old, we have to go through them, and so a lot of notices that we're sending out, we're not getting any responses. So then we're having to send a notice. No one comes in and do a second appointment letter. They don't come in, and then when you withdraw from the waiting list, they obviously have an opportunity for a review or hearing for that process as well. And then, but for those that come in, they have to bring all their documentation on, so it's going to vary depending on that person, and they bring all their items in. But I would definitely say no longer than a week or two. If they're able to come in, we have to do like an orientation, have the unit ready. The only requirement for the family after they're determined eligible is if they have their deposit, it's a $200 deposit, and then whatever their amount of their rent would be. And so we've had quite a few people that we pulled. So prior to the units being ready in Boulevard Garden, I think it was in April, we pulled about 25 one-bedroom units. And I think, Desiree, out of those 25, we may have had one or two that are actually released. We have some people who just did not want it. So the units were too small, and they were refused. So that's one of the issues that we're having specifically with Boulevard Gardens is that after we have them ready, we have to have people, we have to have a person, and then we have to have someone who wants to move in. And so we're just trying to keep moving until we get them filled.
Okay.
With the Boulevard Gardens, we have, with public housing, we still have quite a few people in waiting lists, so we'll get through it. If we get to a point, so for example, for Boulevard Gardens, and we still have people on the waiting list, but we don't have one bedrooms, we can't open the waiting list specifically for one bedrooms. So if we get to that point, right now, we're just still trying to go through the list, and that may definitely be an option in the near future.
You can advertise that.
I'm telling you about that. We're so blessed. I'm excited about this. And my report.
All right.
So that's like an individual relationship. Depends on the person how to do it.
Correct. Yes. After you have a person, if they come into their first appointment, that moves quicker. If you have to send a second letter, they come in the next week, and when they come in, they bring all of their documents, and then once we finish that, are they ready? We'll do orientation, and then after that is I think they have to have a security deposit, and then their prorated rents, whatever they're doing. So the biggest issue, we haven't really had anyone who had any issues with the rent amounts or the deposit. It's been, I don't want that. Their issue with Boulevard Gardens is they're saying too small. All right, well, I'm not going to start off with the reviews first. I have given each commissioner a copy of our, I shouldn't say it's not bad news, of our audit. So what happens is our fiscal year 9/30/2024 is audited. We started that process, I want to say sometime in May. It's been concluded. We do have one finding on page 45. We do have a finding. There were 4 transactions of a totaling of 91,273 that we could not locate supporting documentation for those transactions. I definitely have to say that this predates the current executive director. Neither here nor there. We did our due diligence.
I'm just surprised you said one fine.
Oh,
Just one fine?
well, I didn't like that one.
I mean, what, 80 something or whatever with the monitoring report, so one is awesome.
So those are all the 4 transactions
Totaling,
for different.
yes. And I think Tammy snuck off maybe to see if we could find out who those were. Desiree, would you ask her? Okay. I'm sorry, I was trying to find that information. But yeah, there were 4 transactions totaling $91,000, and there was no documentation for that. Also, too, in defense of the previous staff, that was at a time where there was no executive director. That was at a time where there was no finance person. I mean, so there's a lot going on, and the staff did try to do what they could, with their knowledge to get that done. So it doesn't excuse it, but that's a little bit of the, you all are more familiar with the situation than I am regarding as to why that may have happened. So if you need any follow up on that, just let me know if you're concerned about who those transactions were for. And that's the only bad thing.
Is there any disciplinary, anything we have to do, additional reports for this?
The authorities.
Corrections or?
It's on the last page. The authorities concerned with the auditor's the authority concurs with the auditor's recommendation. The authority has made a number of employee changes as well as administrative and accounting related improvements. The authority will continue its efforts to further strengthen its administration of the federal program and funds. The executive director will continue to oversee the process, updating the authority's policies and procedures. The executive director will oversee correction by September 2025. So I can't go back and make this right, but we move forward not to have that happen again. And Tammy don't play about receipts. Is there, feel free to take this with you, review it. If you have any questions and concerns, feel free to send me an email and we can definitely discuss. But there's no action that we need to take for this. It's already been submitted to HUD. We were late last year. We were not late this year. And so I think we didn't get this done last year until, I don't want to talk about it, but it's on time this year. So that was somewhat pleasant. Okay, so here's the news. I was so hoping I could tell you right now that it had happened, but not yet. But our website is going to be launched any day now. I was hoping that it was going to be before we started here. But I'm so excited. It seems like a small thing, but I'm so excited for a plethora of reasons. Mainly, once we have a website, then we're able to open applications. And so I am just holding my breath that it's up and it's working correctly, and I anticipate announcing a waiting list opening as soon as I know that the website is working properly. We've already done the back work to make sure with the software company to make sure we get a handle. We will be taking applications over through our website. So when you go to the website, they would click on the portal, and then they can go and apply for the voucher program. So all that announcement and so forth, as soon as I know that it's working properly, we are going to flood the website, social media, and sending, of course, putting notices out at the Housing Authority. And so it's just so good to have a place of information for people to go when they have general questions, and for quite a bit. So we're really, really excited about that, if you can't tell. Stuff in rumor field. Uh-oh. I don't know if I want to know about that.
About openings or not openings.
And what my plan is to when we open the HCD waiting list, it will be a lottery, and so my goal is to open it for maybe a week period of time, and during that time allow people to apply throughout the whole week, day, night, whatever time, and then we'll determine a certain number of applications that we will pull. The reason that I don't want to pull 4,000 or 6,000. We only have 377 vouchers on the program. So I don't want to take too many because I don't want to have a situation where the waiting list is not closed for another 5 or 10 years. You want to have a waiting list that opens periodically if possible. There's no rule that says you have to. My personal goal would to be able to have it open maybe once every 1 to 2 years. 1 year preferably. It just depends on how fast you can get through the names. If you get through the names quicker, then you open it again. But there's no right or wrong as far as how many times you open the waiting list. And so that's what I would like to see is that we would have, because I do understand in Michigan City community that is a sore found that the waiting list is not open. And not only this community, almost every community with any voucher, with a voucher program. So you want that to be opening regularly, but the more applications you take when it's open will determine when you open it again. And so, anyway, we're hoping, like I said, in the next week to be able to make that announcement. I had the flyer ready and I was so ready today, but I got to make sure that the website is up and running correctly.
Does the 377 include the current tenants that are that have HCB?
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So we have the total capacity for 377. I will say how many of the 377 you can lease is based on funding. And so right now we just need to get up there. We need to get our numbers up. I'm not sure that we would be able to actually lease the whole 377, but the goal is to get as close to that number as possible.
So right now, 217.
Correct. Correct.
It's quite a bit though.
Well, also too, it'll work out really well because it'll be around the same time that we should have our, we'll be getting to have some of our units for business activity ready in rehab. So hopefully that'll work out together. We'll provide some opportunities there. All right. Let's see what else. What's been happening since the last time I saw you all? I attended a CEO Academy by a company called Quizzy Avengers, owned by Damon Duncan. He's a consultant and former executive director. And I just tell you, it was just wonderful to kind of get out of the office and be able to kind of just network with other executive directors, discussing challenges and successes. So that was just really good. It is a training program for executive directors. That was the first cohort. I believe that there will be a second cohort. I want to say maybe sometime in 2026. So again, looking forward to that. A couple other things that have happened since we last met. We had an after Mother's Day tea party and paint party. It was the cutest thing. The residents loved it. They had the little hats on and so forth. So just wanted to mention that. We couldn't leave the dads out. We had a Father's Day social, and we were not expecting the guys to show up. And when I tell you they did, they did. So all of our events, after we do post them on our Facebook page. So if you don't have, or you're not on the page, if you're not friends or like our page, please do so.
Who does the artwork for the flyers?
I do it all.
Well, there you go. That's impressive.
I told you I was going to read, no.
You are lying. That's true.
I actually do it all. I do have a little help from, I won't promote their business, but I do have a little help from Canva and Poster Wall.
It was nice.
We did have a tenant meeting in Lakeland, which mostly turned into not a tenant meeting, but a community awareness with Lakeland Pizza with Police, and so that was nice. It was good to see the residents come out. Sometimes we have a little. We don't have to be, when we have things at Lakeland, we don't have the tenants to come out that we normally do, but they showed up, and so that was really good. I'm really, really appreciative of the partnership that we have with the Michigan City Police. It's just been awesome. It really has. In fact, I'll even mention that we embarked on a summer partnership with the Michigan City Police, that after hours police officers are patrolling Lakeland for us. We were getting some complaints about some activity in the evenings. And so we were have a few after hours police officers patrolling Lakeland and Boulevard Gardens if needed. And then we also hosted, we have a really strong partnership with Minority Health Partners of LaPorte County. A woman named Albertine, and she does some amazing work with the seniors. So we have afternoon bingo, and so while they have bingo and prizes, they talk about nutrition and so forth. So those are just a few things that we've been up to, in addition to the normal workload. I also put in your packets or at your desk, there is a NARO conference that is coming up. This is a national conference at the end of September, early October in Phoenix, Arizona. NARO is an excellent organization. I don't think you all have attended this event before. So if it's something that you are interested in attending, just let me know, and then we can get you scheduled to do so. The next, I did look, there is a FATA conference in September, but it's already, there became a hotel. So I just let that one out. There's also, I think this is where Commissioner Vincent went last year. FATA has a commissioners conference actually in January that is really, all the conferences have different sessions for everyone, but FATA's commissioners conference is aimed at commissioners. Something if you want to take a look at if you're not interested in going to the NARO conference in the fall. Our food program is still going on for the seniors. We partner with the food bank, and they come in once a month, and then we're able to provide seniors food all month. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
Good news, thank you. Mr. Harris, anything from the attorney department?
I do have something actually. Not quite as rosy as our secretary.
Is it ever for attorneys?
It's not. Yeah, it's not. So in June, there was a congressional hearing that was held, and HUD's secretary, the new secretary, Scott Turner, kind of outlined the administration's plans from a budget perspective for that it has for HUD, and in particular for Housing Choice Voucher Program. And according to the Trump administration's plan, they would like to limit participants' eligibility to hold a voucher to 2 years. So for those people who have a voucher and they're participants in the HCV program, they would not be able to maintain that voucher for longer than 2 years. During that 2-year period of time, they need to figure out what's going to happen next, but outside of that, they would lose it. It has not been approved yet, but it was a plan that was laid out just last month during a congressional budget hearing. It's expected that that could affect up to 1.4 million participants, and obviously it would affect them in a way that they would need to figure out what they're going to do about housing after the 2-year period. From the agency's perspective, it would increase the workload from an administrative effort because you would constantly be turning over that list and constantly looking to get those vouchers back on the street, monitor the wait list. And so it would, it has a lot of different ramifications, not just to the voucher holder or the participant, but also to the agency itself. So I know there have been some rumors that the administration would like to shrink public housing and shrink, but it's not necessarily the case. I think they recognize the fact that there is a need, but from their perspective, that need needs to be addressed in a more targeted way. So I think what they'd like to do is to provide assistance, get people back on their feet, but continue to provide different people who need help and kind of circulate that list. I think that's the perspective. I'm not making the argument, but that's what their presentation included. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as this progresses. There will be some change. Ultimately, what it looks like, we don't know, but we'll keep monitoring it. But I would imagine we'll see big changes to what HCD looks like in the end.
It's very interesting because HUD has what we call moving to work agencies, and so they're agencies that basically can kind of create policies or work away from the regular red tape of agencies. So the 2-year time limit is not necessarily a new concept. It's been worked in a previous agency I worked at had a time limit. And what's really interesting to me is it has not been proven successful in the cohorts that have been done, I want to say, since the 90s when NTW agencies were first came about. So it's really interesting. So what happens with the NTW agency, they'll try a new rule or so forth. So I'll give you an example. HQS inspections are done on an annual basis and have been done for the voucher program for years, just one inspection a year. A NTW agency in the country tried and decided for a period of time, they monitored what would it look like if the inspection was done every 2 years as opposed to every 1 year. Once it was successful within the NTW agency, then it transferred over to now all housing authorities are able to do that. So there's a lot of things that happen in tried and true in the NTW agency, and when it's successful, then it's over to all the other housing authorities. So I just find it really interesting that hadn't happened up until this point because it hasn't worked in those agencies. So it'll be interesting to see what does happen.
That's true.
If they ignore that data.
I think you're absolutely right, and it is being reported. Like I have an AP article up right now, and they're reporting where they have already implemented this, where they're trying it, and overall there isn't a track record of success of them, implementing these time limits. So I don't know what some of the other measures are that may go along with the time limits to try to make it successful, but it is what it is, and we need to stand ready that when and if that change does occur. Normally there's a period of time before it would take effect, but just want you all to be aware.
In the NTW agencies, they have their waivers for people who are temporarily disabled, and so forth. This is a little passionate about my residents. What I don't like about it is that it kind of hurts the working poor, because you can have a full-time job and still need assistance. And so that's where I personally have the issue with the time limits, is because you can still need it and have a full-time job.
Right.
Yeah, the other thing this does too is it has some impact on the landlords, where they may view this program differently, and now you may have a shortage of housing stock to use as part of the program. So there's a lot of moving parts. When you change something that you think is just a little change, there's a lot of moving parts with this, so we'll see.
Absolutely, because then the landlord will start off, and then in 2 years, then
exactly
Expense.
Yeah, it makes it volatile. So
the turnover.
there's a lot of turnover for a landlord, right? That's right.
Wasn't it at one time the HCD would say After that 2 year program, we were trying to move them over to section. Is that a goal in that?
It's to be in Section 8. It's to be in Section 8, same.
And then they were moving the thing in public housing, choice house, the voucher. And then they were moving the voucher over to section.
It's the same program.
It's the public housing.
Yeah.
Section 8 is the old name for HCD, but we're definitely. Yeah.
That's it.
I'm sorry, I'll say this real quick. I hope we gotta get off my soapbox. I always say when you look at the HCD program, people only look at our residents as being, or participants as being the who benefits from the program. But when you look at the economic impact of what happens, how much money is put into the communities that go to the landlord, not to the tenant, to have that cut would be very significant. Issues for landlords, so.
And that landlord's a taxpayer too, so there's properties that, I mean, it
Absolutely.
impacts everyone. It's not just the
It's not just the
participant.
tenant person receiving the assistance. Commissioner Henson, you're the person who public comment on
Oh, okay. Do we have anything on the eviction? I see it on the agenda a couple months in a row.
What was it?
An eviction.
We have one eviction that's,
It's been
I'm
pending
not
for-
sure. Yeah, Attorney
Okay.
Wright will have to do that one.
Okay.
I'm not familiar. Yeah,
All right, is that it?
that's it.
Anything else, Ms. Dixon, on your reporting?
no, I have
You good?
anything else.
Okay, I'll open up again for public comment. Is anyone here for public comment? Okay, we'll move on to new business. Any new business?
No. I had to look twice.
Okay, move on to commissioners' remarks. Bobby, you have anything you'd like to bring up?
I would like to go to the commission.
Ms. Spinning?
Nothing.
Good.
Okay. We get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.